Hey all, Board Game Rants here. We'll find everything solo tabletop gaming and more. And today we're going to take a look at Glen More II Chronicles with its expansion that allows you to play solo. That is Highland Games expansion. A little bit on the game and what I think about on the other side. Glen More II Chronicles, along with its compadre, Glen More II Highland Games, the expansion which adds the solo variant, which I have set up here. This is the kind of the area where you're going to take your turns and pick your tiles. Tile lane game. You're going to build up your territory here, or I will, I should say. Up here we've got kind of the main AI area. She doesn't really build up a territory, so to speak. Kind of handles everything a little more simply, and will take actions based on flipping these cards over. I have two cards face down so that you never know. Otherwise, you could kind of get to know the actions and be like, okay, well, this one, you know, so it adds always a little bit of mystery there as you discard two and then you play through the rest of the deck there, and it'll determine the AI's actions. Over here, we've got another part of the base game, which is just sort of an area where when you get people tiles, basically, over there, rather than territory tiles, you're going to take a little marker and put it out here, and you'll get a one-time sort of benefit out here. So that's what this board is, and you got the AI has a couple meeples which you're going to stomp around and potentially block some of the actions. So there's going to be a little bit of a competition there that the AI sets up for you. Now up here I've got one of the Chronicles. This is the Highland Games Chronicle. So what the Chronicles are just like little mini expansions, and there's a bunch of them. I think in the base game here there's like 8, and they come in these cute little boxes. These little chronicles, and inside those book boxes are all the pieces you need to play a particular chronicle. And you got ones that help, that allow you to, I don't know, to build up your whiskey, age your whiskey, and then sell it. You've got ones like this chronicle, which is fairly involved, where you're going to be playing in these games, if you will, and these games give you all sorts of little perks as you play them. And then the other, like this other chronicle that I'm doing, just modifies or enhances one of the base game effects, which is you get these cards which give you one-time effects, but when you use this particular chronicle, you're going to get one-time effects, and then if you take these flip actions, you're going to get an extra benefit and extra points. So it just kind of adds a nice layer of complexity to the game, does that chronicle. And then there's just a whole bunch of other chronicles which really allow you to suit the game to taste. You can make it as complex or not complex as you'd like. So the base game rules are fairly straightforward. Again, a tile lane game. It's not back and forth turn wise. It's going to be whoever's furthest back on this track. So you kind of look at this track like a big wheel here, and in the middle here is just an area where you can buy and sell some goods. And I actually should have these coins here, because when you're playing solo, you're always going to have the ability to basically sell your wares and get money for them. But this is a little market area that kind of goes up. I can either sell a cow for 1 coin, or I could buy a cow for 2 coins. And then later on, if I sold a cow, I'd get those 2 coins back, and etc. So market in the middle, but on the outskirts here, you got your tiles. On your turn, you're going to take your meeple, you're going to pick a tile around here. The further you go out, the longer you might have to wait to take your turn, because what happens is then the next person's turn is going to be whoever's furthest back on the track. And so the Automa might pick that tile. And then this die is just something you use in any 2-player game. And so when you're playing solo, you're going to be playing against the Automa, so it's technically a 2-player game. And this just randomly, when it gets to it, you're going to roll it, and it's going to basically eliminate a tile. It's got, I think, 3 1s, 2 2s, and 1 3 on here. So you never know. Most likely it's going to remove the next tile, but it could remove the second or the third tile. So this will kind of keep you on your toes, along with the AI. And then as you're going around and picking a tile, then you'll place that tile in your area. And there's some rules here that you gotta, just pretty straightforward, but you either gotta place it, well, you have to place it orthogonally to your existing tiles, and you have to place it within the 8 spaces around one of your little meeples, one of your Scotsmen. And then there's another little rule here too. These are water tiles. Water tiles have to go in this row only. So a few rules there as you flesh out your territory. And then once you place a tile, now you get, legally of course, now you get to activate it and all tiles around it. So you could activate up to 9 tiles with a placement. And that's really the thing about this game, is trying to maximize, build a territory not overly large, because you would get penalized for that later at the end of the game if you build a territory bigger than your opponent. But so you got to temper that. At the same time, you want to have tiles out here that so when you place something, it's going to activate, activation explosion. So, but after you've taken your turn, in this case, I'd place that tile. I would get a wood, and then I would be able to move this guy if I wanted 1 space. And that's what these little things tell you. These tell you little instant benefits you get. The top right of a tile tells you what type of tile it is. And then lastly, sometimes there's a cost associated, and that would be on the top left to get the tile. Like this Glen More would cost me a wheat to be able to pick this tile and place it. So, but after you're done, then the board refills, and now the next furthest back would take their turn. And so, but she might, go here and take that, and this die might go here and take that, and then she might get to go again and take that, and this dice might then go here and take that, and then she might go over here and take that, and then I finally get to go again because I picked the tile so far ahead. So that's how the turn and turn order works. And these stacks of tiles are going to keep filling up as we take them. And once you get through stack A, then there's going to be a scoring round. And then you're going to go, and that's going to happen when you get through stack B and stack C and stack D. And then there's sort of an end game scoring thing that occurs. That's again where you're going to find out who's got the biggest territory, and whoever does is going to get penalized for that. But at the end of each stack here, so there's 4 scoring rounds, you're going to go through some scoring parameters, and whoever has kind of the most of a thing, so the most meeples on their castle tile, the most landmark cards, these guys right here, the most whiskey barrels, which is another, not really a resource, but something you can get. So and then whoever has the most people tiles, and then the difference, whoever has the most, the difference is gonna determine what you score. So if you have, 3 more people tiles than your opponent, you're gonna get 3 victory points. And that's gonna be settled out based on what you see here. The AI is gonna place its meeples there, it's gonna place its landmark cards there, it's gonna place its whiskey barrels there, it's gonna place its people tile there. And then the AI also has some other scoring stuff that it gets to take advantage of along with that. And then back and forth you go, and whoever, of course, at the end of the game has the most victory points is gonna win. And the AI here is gonna have little cards here that'll determine what it does when it flips over. These cards, when you flip them over, are gonna tell you what tile the AI is gonna take, and you're gonna kind of work your way top down. And based on if you're playing with a Chronicle, you might have to look at this row here. If you're not playing with any Chronicles, you can go straight to here, but you'll work your way down until the AI takes a tile, and then you'll place it in the correct area, and back and forth you'll go. And the games are pretty, they clip along quite nicely once you get the hang of it. But that is perhaps just a quick idea of Glen More II Chronicles, playing solo. Let me tell you what I think about this game. No beating around the bush here. I love this game, and it's going to be in the top 10 solo games of 2021 here for me. It's September 2021. And this game is one of the finest Euro games I think I've ever played, really. It's got, I mean, it's just, it's got it all. And, well, get into it. Set up and tear down. It is going to take you a little while, a little bit to get it out of the box, because there's all sorts of things to kind of unpack and stuff. Once you have it set up in 10, 15 minutes, then if you're going to just replay the same thing over and over again, it could take a little over 5 minutes to kind of reset the same stuff. Because really, once it's all out, well, then you just got to kind of bundle up the tiles, get them in the A through D, shuffle them up, and do a few other, yeah, it's fairly straightforward to reset this game. But getting it out on the table and then putting it all back, 10 to 15 minutes. Table space, easily going to take up good 3x3 coffee table, or the majority of it. You still have some room for knickknacks and snacks if you'd like. Length of play, it varies quite a bit. The base game itself, a half hour to 45 minutes. If you're just playing straight up the base game, it flies. You add in one of the expansions, you kind of immediately, well, it's nice. It tells you about how long it's going to add to the gameplay, each chronicle. And I think it's fairly accurate, and even for solo. But yeah, so the more chronicles you add, a lot of times it adds more tiles that you're going to have to go through and add to the game. It just adds more thought to the game. One of my favorite ones, the one that I showed there, it's number 6. Just very easy to implement, very easy to take a part of the base game, which ultimately was these landmarks, which when you got them, it just kind of gave you a one-time effect, and then it helped your scoring each round. But you add this particular chronicle, number 6, you replace those cards with cards that give you the one-time benefit, but also now there's tiles out there that you can grab, which when you activate allows you to flip over your landmark cards and to their event side, and you get to take advantage of that particular event. So you can really tone it. It adds a beautiful layer of complexity without adding a lot to the game length. And it's very easy for the AI to run as well. So, I mean, certain chronicles are pretty complex for the AI to run. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So length of play, half hour if you're just flying, 45 minutes probably more realistically, and then probably over an hour once you add, well, definitely over an hour once you add a couple chronicles in there, and you can add to taste. Component value is fantastic. I mean, it's all good. These tiles especially are super. I mean, they are thick tiles, and then you got the beautiful wooden pieces. You've got pretty decent, cool storage stuff. I love the little tuck boxes and the way just artistically done very nicely. Everything looks good about this game. I enjoy that quite a bit. Good. In today's world, I would say it's good value for the components that you get. If you're picking up both the base game and the Highlands expansion, for me, I mean, it got over that $100 mark. And actually, when I was trying to get it, it was a little tough to get the game. But so anyway, it was on par for other games like it that cost over $100, I would say. The theme, it's a Euro game, and so there's that theme there, that kind of Scottish theme. Honestly, I don't know, and I don't want to say I don't care, but just the game mechanics all feel very familiar, but they are again put together in a way that is very unique and make the game just shine on its own as compared to many other games that try to do similar things but not as well. And so the theme is cool. I love the idea of the chronicles, adding little storylines. There's one chronicle in there, I think it's number 3, where it's a kind of a shout out to Jamie Stegmaier and viticulture, as it allows you to age your whiskey barrels, which is cool. It gives you something other than just scoring opportunities at the end of each round with your whiskey barrels. It seems like sometimes kind of a waste. They're just sitting there and you got all these barrels. Well, now you've got this chronicle that allows you to age them and score big victory points if you want, but then you lose that barrel for the end of round scoring. So cool, juicy things to think about. And they all do this. They all kind of add a very nice flavor to the game in a thematic sense. So very nice there. Rulebook, very straightforward, especially the base game. The base game is just very easy to learn and get into and start playing right away, not worrying about any of the chronicles, and learning the AI, which at first glance it looks like the AI is going to be a bit of a bear to run. But once you play maybe the base game a couple times, it just flies as well. So the AI is done phenomenally well, as one might expect from the Automa Factory, who's done a ton of AI Automa opponents for many games. Viticulture, Gaia Project, Wingspan, Euphoria, Scythe, etc. So they got it down. They know what they're doing. And they did a great job with this, because in this one, it's not only coming up with a solo variant for the base game, but now you've got 12 Chronicles or whatever, 12 expansions that you have to tone and tweak the AI so that you can enjoy all those. And I'm so glad they did. I mean, they could have just been like, hey, you can't do the Chronicles. This AI is just for the base game. And stuff like that has happened. Maybe not with the Automa Factory. Anyway, but the fact that it allows the solo player to utilize almost everything in that game is wonderful. And they did a great job. The mechanics are where it's at. They're simple, but it reminded me a little bit of Power Grid. See, Power Grid, back in the day, I played, but then I tried playing a fan-made solo variant, and that's kind of where I really realized for the first time, I was like, this is ridiculous. I can't beat this fan-made solo variant. It scores way too much, or I forget exactly how it worked. It just seemed ridiculous. I was like, I played this game so much, and I can't. There's no way. This is impossible. And then something happened. I realized, I don't remember if I read in BGG somewhere, but there was sort of this aha moment, this epiphany, as I realized, basically I was buying way too many power plants, essentially. I needed to run my power plants into the ground. And when I started doing that, my gameplay level went up several notches. And suddenly I was scoring much, much higher. This game, Glen More II, has that same thing to it. Almost 10 games in, I was still struggling. And I played this game, Glen More II. I played it solo over 15 times now. But I was approaching 10. I was getting a sense of, like, I was getting whooped by the normal, and this comes with 5 different levels of AI. I was trying to play on normal, and I was getting slaughtered over and over and over and over again. And I looked up on BGG and found out, there was other people too that were kind of getting slaughtered. But even then, I kind of had a sense like, maybe I'm just missing something. Maybe something's going to click. And sure enough, something started to click. And so I also did a full playthrough, which I'll throw up there if you want to check that out, kind of get a sense of how the game plays. And also, too, it helps to demonstrate. I think if you're just playing the game on a certain level, and like your own personal level, not the AI, and you're just putting tiles out and you're just kind of chaining them together without a whole bunch of thought, because you just don't think a whole bunch of thought is really necessary, you're going to get destroyed by the normal AI level. Once you start getting it, so to speak, once that aha kind of kicks in and you start chaining stuff together and really understanding, Pipeline was another game like this too, much more recent. Pipeline, very simple to learn, but to get to those higher end game scorings, there's something you have to kind of understand about the game. And that's the way this was too. Once I got to about 10 games in, then it really started sinking in. And now I was competing greatly with the normal AI variant. So don't give up on the game. If you're getting crushed, maybe check out the playthrough, or look up for some strategies there, and it's going to help you out. Is maybe you'll start to understand what you need to do to really start scoring high and competing with the AI variant. Otherwise, you could also just play with the super easy variant, and and enjoy that too, because it's no fun getting blown out all the time. Moving on though. So mechanics are fantastic, and the way the AI incorporates, the Automa Factory incorporated all the different Chronicles to allow you to play is just genius. And the most I've ever played, I think, is 3 Chronicles together, and it didn't feel like much. It was just a longer game than I like, and I got destroyed, but again, yeah, you could play all the Chronicles or none of them, and you're probably definitely going to have some of your favorites. I already know that I have some of my favorites. So strategy-wise, this game shines, and those tiles as they come out, the fact that you kind of plan around that, but also you got to keep in mind sometimes that AI is going to grab a tile, that die is randomly going to grab 50% of the time the first tile. So there's these things you have to keep in mind. It's like, I really want that tile way up there. Is it worth it for me to just go grab it now, or take my chance, take this, and hope that tile is still there? Oh, delicious decisions. And the fact that just the tiles keep coming. It just changes the game. Even though it's the same tiles, where they come out changes the game entirely and makes it feel just refreshing every time you play this game. So solo design, off the charts, fantastic. The difficulty levels, in fact, you can go 1 through 5, and that on normal, until you get a good grasp of this game, you're gonna get whooped. But if you hang in there, you're very likely gonna find yourself competing. Replayable as any game you could ever want, really, especially when you can mix and match all the Chronicles. I don't know how many different variations of this game you could play, but it's a lot. Very fun. Highly recommend this one. And that is Glen More II Chronicles with the Highland Games expansion, which is what allows you to play the solo variant. Anybody have any questions or comments, please leave those down below. But until next time, if you like the video, if you don't mind hitting that little like button, it helps out the channel a lot. Just kind of gets it out there to more people so they can see whether this game would be something for them or not. And it helps me out. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Board Gamer Nuts.